guys, crew blowing back. I'm Aaron.
I'm Calvin.
And happy Pokemon Day, first off. Check out Pokemality. But we are back with Reacher. Where last week, we had 3 episodes of Reacher get us tossed into this story.
Yep.
Of Reacher kind of getting into an undercover role in this.
Deep cover.
We're not really sure, I guess. We don't necessarily know if it's weapons, if it is drugs, if it is people, but there's some kind of smuggling type of thing happening. Yeah. We talked about what it could be. We don't think it's people or drugs because we think the drug dog would have figured it out. Mm-hmm. So it could be something else, but we don't really know what it is. But it has to do with this rug business and a father-son who is kind of stuck in it, they weren't necessarily not breaking the law, but now they're kind of with this organization that they can't get out of and they have to more so break the law. Yeah. Is how it seems. Yeah, that's kind of where we are. We also had a poll last week.
We did.
Which was, do you think Zachary Beck deserves redemption? Which is the father there. Mm-hmm. We had 78% say that he will be redeemed, and 21% saying that he should not be redeemed. I don't know if he deserves it because I don't know what he did. Letting someone cut off your kid's ear is pretty bad though, so I'll say redeemed, but will die. I don't think he let them cut off the ear.
No, yeah.
I think he was trying to not give away his business, not deal with terrorists, but then they did that, and
because
they were forcing his hand.
If you let them take everything from you, then you have to keep going along with it, or risk losing everything. Right? That was the point of the ear. Like, if you do this, then we have you forever, and you can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm. And then I think he's just doing whatever he can to keep him and his son alive, and will end up helping Reacher if he helps him and his son, which is kind of what I'm hoping kind of happens, because I don't think he's necessarily too bad of a guy, but I think he did some bad business stuff before, bragged about it, and then now it got him stuck into where he's at now. So but yeah, we'll see, I guess, as it continues. We're still looking for a girl who was already undercover before.
Yep. She's
missing, but we are like second in command because we killed everybody else.
Yep.
So let's get started.
Biotoxins, dirty nukes, killer fucking robot dogs with lasers shooting out of their eyes. There could be anything in these crates.
Probably the laser dogs.
That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to Duke?
Same thing as a safe house. Gone.
The fuck, man?
Beck confirmed McCabe is running this whole thing.
Okay, I have a picture of him from when we stayed down.
Oh, they're gonna put it together then for that.
Yep.
It's all locked up in the warehouse now, and the place is guarded like a fortress. But this guy here looks moneyed and in charge. That's got to be Julius McCabe, right?
I know him as Xavier Quinn.
The guy you thought was dead?
The guy I thought I killed.
He's the one who put the small caliber bullet.
Yep. And the falling and the drowning.
It started with a file that landed on my desk years ago.
Flashback.
Yes.
You've got more workload than you can handle right now. You're overloaded with all this ticky-tack nonsense stuff. Maybe the Army should set you up with a few MPs. That way you can just work on the big stuff.
Like what? A team of special investigators?
Okay, so this is all before that, huh?
Yeah.
You have a reputation of being demanding yet respectful to those that you work with. So if you'd known I was coming, there would be a second chair in here, but there is none.
I don't like people hanging out in my office, so I got rid of the extra chair. But I found out about you 3 minutes ago.
I assume by your tone you don't like surprises. I don't like surprises either. But I promise you won't regret bringing me on. I love my work, and I work very hard.
Good to know. Take a look at this and tell me what you think while I get us coffee.
Huh. I like her. She seems kind of like him a little bit with like the noticing things, you know?
He just doesn't fit the profile.
Mike, bring in a chair for Sergeant Cole.
She can stay.
Yeah.
She can hang out in my office.
Damn, man, and she died because of Quinn.
My dad and I used to go hunting. We made a good team.
You're using the past tense. No more hunting?
No more dad.
No more dad. Died 5 years ago. But I still hunt. and he still comes with me.
My father was a Marine.
Is that why you served?
Maybe. Never really gave it much thought.
What's your dad doing now?
Same as your dad.
What was he like?
Had no use for excess or wealth. Pretty compartmentalized guy.
So you take after him?
Maybe.
Never gave him much thought.
Never really gave him much thought. He's not coming.
You can't know for sure.
You'd never leave valuable top secret documents this long in public without somebody promptly picking them up.
Promptly picking them up.
Let's get to it.
What if they hired a sniper?
One of us would find out when the other one's head explodes.
That would be a good time to find out.
Wait.
They already made the pickup.
Real drop happened in the newspaper.
So we're staring at a garbage can while the document's being picked up 30 yards away.
I think we need to haul in Gorowski.
But we have nothing.
He doesn't know that.
This is the moment, Roland. Everyone eventually has it. The moment in your life where you either do what's right or you fuck up so bad it's not only you who pays the price. You go away for treason. You get hanged for treason. Your wife, your child, will be dealing with that long after you're gone.
He took my daughter! Xavier Quinn. He's military intelligence. That's why I couldn't go to the cops. He's plugged in.
Seems Quinn's modus operandi hasn't changed. Still has a thing for kidnapping and gold.
I like seeing this flashback though. I'm enjoying it.
It's real good.
We tread carefully and don't.
I'm liking Cole too much though.
Yep.
I already feel like I know the outcome.
Don't get touched, Aaron.
The phone records you requested.
Those Quinn's?
Affirmative. I already reviewed his LUDs. I saw multiple calls to the same person over several months. The calls were to Safwan Qasim.
I did a preliminary run on the name. He's a Syrian national with military ties whose cover job is a senior research fellow at a think tank.
This has got to be the guy that Quinn is selling secrets to.
Now that we know this, what's the next step? You tell me.
We pay a visit to Safwan.
I mean, she seems like a doer.
Yep. Definitely
want-
leading the charge is what it feels like.
I want to see, like, we know that she's hunted, but if things get a little hairy, I wonder how she is there too.
Club's gonna close soon.
I wouldn't last 5 minutes in there.
Don't like crowds?
Music's terrible. If you can call it music.
I don't mind it. I like dancing. Anytime, anywhere. Anyone ever want to go dancing, I'm in.
I think he's telling you, Reacher.
We're trying to do this nicely.
Once again, I don't think that's going to happen.
Hey, why don't you take a step back, pal?
Don't do it!
Let me guess. Hired help, paid by the hour. Couple $100 a day worth dying over?
No.
I love that. Love that head shake.
Private. Look, I know you like Cole.
Like her. Like, as a friend.
Shut up. It's obvious.
I love how he does not suffer.
Judgment in the field. Never turn your back on a viable enemy to save a fellow soldier. You only get 2 dead soldiers that way. She's not into dancing. Just ask her to dinner and bring flowers. But not roses. Every asshole brings roses.
I like Reacher so much.
This guy's all over me about wanting to smoke. Any wiggle room?
What do the regulations say?
No cigarettes, drugs, or alcohols for detainees.
Then why am I looking at you?
He wants it because of the alcohol being opened up on the table.
So, you were saying you were
We're gonna burn this place down.
Yep. Another safe house.
We'll need to proof this thing once more. Why don't we do it at the bar? I could use a beer.
You know, Cole, there are already going to be people who believe you didn't earn this case because you're a young woman and you're only here to meet some quota. If we're seen out socially, those people will look at this as something more than what it is. and it'll only add fuel to their fire. Let's not let some assholes diminish what you earned. I could use a beer too.
Thanks for looking out, boss.
Thanks for the great work.
Man.
Yep.
Oh, I hate
Yep.
Let's go make the arrest.
Really?
Track down the leads, put together the research. I'm no credit jumper. Besides, you should be the arresting officer for the same reason we didn't get a drink at the bar. If you don't put the final stamp on this, everyone will think you were just along for the ride with a senior officer. Frisconi can go with you. Put the cuffs on Quinn, Sergeant.
Text her.
Doesn't look
I don't
good.
text people. She knows that. She'll think I'm micromanaging her. I'm texting her.
Just about the shed.
What'd she say? Got him. Cuffed. Heading in. Sir.
Yeah.
What's wrong? I told her never to
Reacher.
call me sir the first day we met. You never have to tell Cole anything twice.
Tony.
You turned your back to the enemy to help her.
I wondered if that was gonna happen.
Yep.
He wants Cole to tell him the name of the commanding officer who oversaw the case so he can kill me and disappear. He's gonna torture her. And it's gonna be brutal. She would never give me up.
Damn, man. You're like baiting him.
Gun.
You assume you know the whole story, but you don't. The girl and I were in all this together. She'd string you along, make you think you're closing in, and then at the last moment, she lets me get away and she gets paid. But then she tried to fuck me and take all the cash. It got ugly. I snapped and yeah, she had to go. Work with me. This case will make your career.
What's her first name?
What?
You know the first name of someone you cut a deal with. So what's her name?
Yep. Yep. Trying to lie and tarnish her name.
And that's reason number one not to take the deal, right?
I'd say if you have some deal and you're back and forth on that, like I don't think you have what in the barn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a fight, you shoot each other, and it doesn't turn into that. You know, how's it get to that
Like if
point?
he was feeding her information, there'd be no reason to torture her.
No. And if it was just like
He'd already know everything
she was
he
trying to
needed to
screw me
know.
and take all the money.
Yeah. Then it would just be quick because you wouldn't want to
Yeah. Why?
waste any more time.
What's
on
the
her.
point of doing that?
Turn around.
Shoot him, he falls into here and disappears, kind of thing. What happens? Or does he jump?
Dominique.
Huh?
That was her name.
Some rough water.
Yeah.
I shot him with his .22 so ballistics wouldn't match to my service firearm. The small round was the problem.
The bullet lodged in his skull and never got to his brain.
I assumed he was dead and gone. I've learned not to make assumptions in an investigation.
In the barn! Think the PD! Where target approaching! Raise your hands so we can see him!
He was gone when I got here.
Are you okay?
Is there no footprints out to there, you know?
I didn't pay Teresa to go undercover. I threatened her with a prison sentence. I fucked that kid over, and now I have to make it right.
Guess we have that in common.
Wipe off your feet.
It's been a long night for us too. Lots to be done for the boss's 50th birthday.
Are most of the guests coming from work? Run the names of his friends.
Friends. He has no real friends. People who love his money, and he loves that they make him feel important.
He's a lonely, miserable bastard. You should have seen him 15 years ago when the missus was alive. A different man.
What happened to her?
I picked these up for you. Fresh clothes.
Bet can't have his number 2 looking like number 2. Hit me.
What?
Come on.
No. What if I hurt you?
You're kidding, right? Your dad never showed you how to throw a punch?
Well, my dad doesn't really give a shit about me. I mean, he let him cut off my ear.
You ever consider that maybe he was protecting you? If he'd have gone to the cops, he'd have went to jail. They'd seize all his assets. You have no other family, so they'd have placed you in the foster system. Aged out at 18, wound up poor, alone, on the streets. You really think that'd be any kind of life for you?
Well, you're poor, alone, and on the streets.
Yeah, I'm good at it.
And he didn't start off that way either.
No.
The weaker guy in the fight needs to throw the first punch and make it count. Make your first shot your best shot.
Okay. Wait. What if I'm not the weaker guy in the fight?
You will absolutely be the weaker guy in the fight.
Asshole.
Show me what you got.
You making a point?
Maybe. Just,
Didn't believe the story.
has it occurred to you that if Reacher had fucked things up with Quinn from the start, we wouldn't be in this mess?
Man, I don't know that he fucked it up.
You could go to prison trying to save Teresa. You okay with that?
I am.
Yeah? Yes, I am too.
Well, you don't know her.
She's not the girl I'm willing to go to prison for.
Aww.
Yeah.
1, 2.
Richard, can you give us a minute, son? Richard.
I wonder why we're following those two.
What's going on?
He sent someone over to Bazaar to get Angel Doll's laptop back. Because all the shipment schedules are on it. And it's gone. Angel Doll's guys must have taken it. They clearly didn't get the message last night that we're not fucking around.
Was the laptop there the whole time?
Don't know. The app only shows real-time location.
Ah.
And 3 of McCabe's guys are already on their way over there. Here's the address.
So it's in their car, and they just arrived
Yeah, he
there.
was just on it looking, right?
Yep.
Okay, was clear. Anyone inside ain't supposed to be? We kill him.
I feel like I know that guy.
He does look familiar.
Ah, man.
Damn.
I really like the flashback.
Yeah, I do too.
I hate that. I liked
Man.
Cole.
Why is every Dominique just such a badass? Right?
I get what you mean, yeah.
So
No,
cool.
So we're
So
back
good.
before he had his special investigation team.
Before the 110th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really liked. I love that she comes in and like one of the first things she says is like, "You just found out about me 5 minutes ago, didn't you?"
Yeah.
And it's like, "How'd you know that?" It's like,
Everything
I
I've
looked
read about
everything
you,
into
yeah.
you. Here's what the things you would do. There's no chair. You would have put a chair here for me. Like I like that.
Yep.
And she was right. And I loved their interactions. I loved like them reading each other. Like I also liked how much Reacher was like, let's not diminish what you've earned. I want you to get all the credit that you can, because like Susan said, like there's a lot of people where it's like they would have the lower people do the work and then they would take the credit for it, you know? Like,
yeah.
He didn't want to do that. He wanted her to rise in ranks and everything and get the credit
she deserved it. She excelled. She should get the credit for it.
They made me like her so much, and I knew where it was going, and I hate it.
Yep. I do too.
So I don't know what we're gonna have happen. I don't know if we're gonna have to kill these guys. If Reacher can somehow like salvage an aspect of it. If it's, I don't know what we're gonna have to happen. You know, you can't just blow up and burn every place that they have. Like,
yeah, no. Like every place that they have gone, just gets burned, I guess.
I like the training Richard thing, the trying to teach him to fight aspect.
No,
I like that.
I like that.
There's a lot of things like even Reacher, like Reacher interacting with Richard, Reacher interacting with the maids, or I don't know, the people that are working doing the cleaning and cooking and that kind of stuff. Like their interactions,
housekeeping and cook.
I love when he comes in and they're like, like, I don't imagine Duke or what's the other guy's name? The big guy.
Oh shoot.
Paulo? Is that what his name was? Paulie?
Was like Polly Van Hoven?
Yeah, Van Hoven. Yeah, I don't imagine.
Or just Paul, I guess, not Paulie.
I wrote Paulie.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe they do call him Paulie, but
I wrote down
Paul
Angel Paulie Duke. But just I can't imagine them walking in and them being like, you know. But Reacher having his interactions with them, I really like.
Yeah.
I just wonder, like, you know, is there an aspect where, like, you know, there's the people inside, like them, maybe the dad, Richard, that are kind of like disconnected a little bit from what Quinn's doing.
Yeah.
Like we already established the Gorowski thing, right? The coercion, the taking of the daughter, the threatening. Like, he's already threatened his kid once, and now he has him back. Is that how you keep back under control? Is the threat is Richard? But, like, does your dad then kind of keep his distance from you a little bit in a more protective format, you know? Versus, like if a guy looks and is like, oh, he doesn't really seem to care about his son, we need to find a different, you know, weakness.
A different avenue to go after. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, something like that.
I mean, that would definitely... I could see that happening, you know?
So,
in an attempt to try to not make your kid a target.
Yeah. And even, like, the Reacher Richard conversation about, like, he let him cut off my ear. And it's like, do you think that he was trying to protect you, keeping you from these other terrible things that could have happened, worse than not having an ear?
Yeah, like if he had I don't know, ceded to their demands earlier, and you know was so dedicated to like protecting his son and not having the ear cut off and stuff like that, just any chance that he would be harmed, he just like gives them whatever they want. Mm-hmm. They might not believe that later that he was willing to like, my son's not important, you know, I'm not gonna spend time with him, I'm not gonna treat him like, you know, the most precious thing to me, so that maybe they won't see him as the first weakness anymore.
Yeah.
I do wonder what happened to the mom. Whether it was like just...
I don't think we've heard about her until now, right? Was that the first time we've ever heard about Beck's like wife or whatever? Because it said about like him being different 15 years ago when she was... I think they said alive, right? Not around? Was that what the wording was?
I thought they said around, but...
I wrote down as though it was about her being alive.
Yeah.
But it also could have been that she left or something, you know? But...
Sure.
I don't know.
You should have seen him 15 years ago when the missus was alive.
Yeah.
Alive, yeah.
So I wonder what happened to her. I forget how long ago it was that the kid's ear was cut off, but it wasn't 15 years ago.
No, it was more recent than that.
So that might have been a separate thing, and then he fell into this separately.
Sure.
But I don't think it was a matter of it being connected. That's what my first thought was going to, was like, what did he do? And was her death odd or suspicious and connected to anything, or was it just, you know, she just passed and, you know, whatever the case is. The 50th birthday thing's being mentioned a few times. I wonder if like something with that will be a big deal, or
yeah, no, it feels like it's working up to be like, you know, the bosses show up and have a party and, you know, stuff like that.
Is it a culmination, climaxy kind of thing?
It feels like it's gonna.
Is an event that helps to
reach like a
just progress
there.
the story in general, where he gets to learn a little bit more of what's going on, or you know, what do we have happening?
I don't know. I feel like he already knows as much as he kind of needs to know what is going on, but
suppose so. I mean, we don't have.
He still needs to find the prisoner, the captive,
and then Quinn meeting him, meeting Reacher. Like that's going to be a thing. Like that could happen at the birthday party.
Sure,
if he comes. I don't know if he is or not, but
yeah. And he, like, for sure is just lying about amnesia, right?
I mean, I would assume so. I don't think I'd wake up in a hospital having done what he's done and be like, oh, yeah, my name's this. You know, like, he already knows Reacher had been looking for him. If that pops up again somehow, like, you're going to want some other name or something. So
sure.
Julius McCabe is something he's probably developed after, like, I remember who I am or something, you know?
Sure. Or like, I can't recover who I am. Might as well start over.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make sense if, you know, I mean, they mentioned like it's all in LLCs and everything anyway, so it's anonymized that way, but wouldn't have anything leading back to his dummy name either.
Wanted to see who that one guy was, because I saw him and I'm like, oh man, that guy looks familiar. And then he looked again and I was like, he doesn't look as familiar as I thought he did. Oh man, this episode was called Dominique.
Dominique, yeah, that's cool. I don't know. Maybe I'm just recognizing him from the scene at Bazaar Bazaar.
Was he in Bazaar Bazaar?
I feel like maybe he was one of the guys that was standing around when Reacher pulled up in the truck and they were like unsealing it for the first time. They were like checking to make sure that everything was all in there, you know. They had like hands on their guns and stuff.
He was in Violent Night.
Violent Night. Okay.
Yep.
So he's like a stunt.
Was an episode of Last of Us.
Okay.
His name was Robert.
Oh, okay. So he was in the episodes with.
And he was in Superman and Lois. He was in Arrow. Yeah. Okay.
So he's just been like a bad guy that gets beat up a lot.
Yeah, I recognize him. He was also in some Freddy stuff.
Gotcha.
As well. So like, I've seen him around for a little bit. He was also in an episode of Smallville.
Okay.
So yeah. So he just has a face of someone I've seen in several different things. So like he was in Freddy vs. Jason, which if he's who I'm thinking of, if he was in Freddy vs. Jason, I think he might have been in another Freddy or a Freddy movie before that and was like a connection to something, but I forget.
Huh.
But yeah.
Okay, cool. So like little bit characters here and there.
Yeah, with some other roles and stuff too, but yeah.
Probably has some
like Arrow, he was in like
choreography,
7 episodes or something like that.
Okay, cool.
He's around a little bit. But yeah, anyway, I'm just wondering like what other kind of coercion aspects that Quinn is using on Beck, because I feel like the son is the weak point, so
yeah,
it could just be he's keeping his distance to try to work on that, but maybe there's some other stuff he's doing too. I don't know. I want to see those two reconnect more. I'm hoping that kind of happens.
Yeah, I want to see like more. Like I want to see more about the fathers and sons past. You know,
more in their history.
Yeah, whether like he's just fully keeping him away from it, so he doesn't know. Like, oh yeah, there's like bad stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, like does the son know that the people that work for his dad are working for someone else and just keeping him and his dad in line?
I mean, he knows to some extent. He's talked about it a little bit, right? Where like he's the one who's kind of talked about, but didn't want to say too much. But he said about Beck's boss. I think it was in the last episode.
Sure, like it was after the hoodlums, right?
Maybe. I think that's how Reacher found out from Richard about McCabe, was from that. But then he didn't dive into it too much. But he didn't know who McCabe was yet. Now we know it's Quinn.
Yeah. Face to a name.
That's the assumption.
Another name.
That's only based on Duffy being like, there's McCabe right there. Like, we don't know, I guess, for sure that that's McCabe, but she's like, that looks like the guy who's McCabe, and McCabe calls, and that seems to be the boss. So it's just a matter of, like, he seems like he's the boss, and we know the boss is this, but that's not actually, it's this guy's name, so.
Yeah.
It makes sense that he would change his name and everything, so.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't doubt that he's McCabe.
Yeah, no. Neither do I. I mean...
That water's crazy to survive in.
Yeah.
That water was a lot of water,
But it was
water too.
it was like the water's like the cold temperature of the water slowed his metabolism down.
Sure.
So
also,
he didn't need as much
him
oxygen.
being unconscious may have also left his body limp, and that may have helped him a little bit in the rapids, I suppose.
Sure.
Versus fighting against it and hitting things harder or anything. Like,
Sure. Like tiring yourself out and then like being in a bad condition or like getting like cramps or muscle cramps or something like that in the cold water. Like that can definitely kill you quicker than just staying calm and riding it out. But if he was already unconscious, that might have doubly saved him.
I've heard of things before where like someone being unconscious and not like, being rigid and stuff has helped in like accidents or something like that. Or,
I've heard that that often is the case with like drunk drivers and stuff. Like if there's an impact that would have killed everyone involved, but because the person who was intoxicated had wasn't tensing when they struck something, that actually saved them, but the other people who saw it coming didn't
they weren't as they were tense.
They were tense and they sustained more injuries because of it, and usually they die from those injuries. So I can definitely see that as well.
Maybe, yeah.
But I probably would have put more than just one round in him.
Pop.
Especially it being 22. Like, 22 is one of the most, deadly calibers because it's underestimated so much. They think, it's like a BB gun or something like that. No, for its size and everything.
I've heard of it the initial impact can penetrate, but then sometimes because of it being so small, they said it got lodged in the skull. Lots of times I hear it can get stuck inside the skull.
Yeah.
It gets that initial in, but then it can't get out because of it getting more fractaled or whatever and smushed.
Yeah.
And then
mushroomed
it's just stuck in there.
Fragmented.
Yeah. And it does a lot of damage. This seems to be the opposite. Maybe he's just a little further away or something,
or he hit a section of the skull that's stronger.
Yeah.
Maybe right through the forehead for a 22 is going to be a lot more difficult because it's a sloped surface that it's trying to penetrate through, and the bones on the forehead are thicker than the bones on the face or the back of the head or the top.
Straight through versus even just having a little bit more of an angle of the skull could have just adjusted it more. So it gets lodged this way kind of versus being just straight in. But
or if it hits the top of the orbital lobe or something like that, where it's having to go through bone that's this direction rather than bone that's this direction.
What's his name? Villanueva. Villa. It seems to be concerned with Reacher a little, so I'm wondering how that'd go.
He kind of should be. Reacher is for being an undercover. He's been pretty liberal with the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
He killed one guy in the house, then he killed the other guy with the little receipt return thingy.
How many
baby doll
days do you think that alcohol or whatever is gonna remain open? You know what I mean? Sometimes I've left stuff open before, but then last times the next day I'm like, shit, man, I left this open.
Yeah, I know.
So, but that guy being man, he's real adamant that he wants a cigarette. It's should he have a cigarette? No. Okay, then don't give him a cigarette.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting for that time.
I probably would have moved it off the table because we don't need it anymore. Right?
Sure. Put it back in the bathroom.
We're not
whatever, right?
interrogating him. We don't need the bandages and the antiseptic there.
Yeah. So I don't know. But I'm waiting now that I know it's rubbing alcohol or something. I'm just waiting for all right, I'll give you a cigarette, and then even if he waits and like lets it get lit, and then he can knock it over and start a fire and cause chaos and stuff, you know? So that's what I'm waiting for, and then that place is going to burn down, just like the other place burned down, and there's a lot more explaining to do.
Yep. Yeah, Duffy's going to have a lot of explaining to do.
Mm-hmm. Like, I hope he doesn't give him a cigarette. But that's what I'm assuming is going to happen, right?
I figure that that's what's going to happen. He's already complaining. He's like, this guy's bugging me nonstop. He just wants a cigarette. What do I do?
Unless he figures out something else entirely different. I don't know.
Sure.
But maybe. Maybe not. I don't know.
He does... I want to trust him because we've heard of him being the cause of a fuck-up in the past.
Yeah. I want him to do better.
I want him to do better. Mm-hmm. I want him to...
As opposed to Tony that we had in here, where Reacher says specifically, like, "Hey, don't turn your back on an enemy.
This will get you killed."
In this scenario that they went into, he for some reason somehow did exactly that.
Yep.
And what did it end up with was 2 dead soldiers, right?
Yep.
And there was only 1 enemy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't want that to happen. I want him to learn from his mistakes and not make mistakes, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that can be our poll, too. Do you think that the prisoner will get a cigarette?
Yeah. That'd be good.
You know? Like,
because it would be this time where there's a lot of chaos happening outside of the safe house.
Sure.
Like, Duffy and Villanueva aren't there, but... shoot, I can't remember the kid's name.
All right, but we'll make that for the poll, guys.
Yes.
Do you think that the prisoner that they have, Duffy and Villa and the other guy that I can't remember his name, do you think that he will get a cigarette, or is something else going to happen that they do? Anything else? It could be just not even using rubbing alcohol. Maybe it does use rubbing alcohol. Who knows?
Or you've read the source material and you're keeping spoilers away from us.
Why are you reading the source material? No, it's good. Good job. I'm
They're
glad you did.
fans.
If you wouldn't have read the source material, this wouldn't have been popular and we wouldn't have this show.
Child.
Thank you for reading.
Yep.
Guys, thank you so much for watching Reacher with us. We will be back next week to see what happens here with Duffy and Villa. I don't want them to die, but we'll see what occurs. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out, and there's also the full length available over at blindwave.com. And you can update your recommendations.
Yeah.
Recommendations.
Anytime.